Hey guys, welcome to the first video on the David Cook Compositions channel. On this channel I'll probably be doing songwriting, production, and other general geeky music things. I'm really excited to be doing this, so without further ado, let's get into the first video. So today we're going to be doing a Synthwave song from scratch just because I thought it would be fun. I'm going to be using a lot of different plugins and stuff. So to begin with, let's start off with, I probably usually want to do drums first. I kind of want to figure out what's going on with the drums. So here I've got a Roland TR-909. So with the Roland TR-909 and a lot of other drum machines, I do like to add a gated reverb, which if you don't know what that is, listen to any Phil Collins song ever and it will be there. So for reverb, I'm going to use the Valhalla DSP reverb, the vintage verb. It's a really good reverb. I would highly recommend it. Let's see, so that's already pretty, it's a lot there. Kind of want the higher frequencies, especially when you're doing gated, because it will just pop out a little bit more. And I'm going to apply a compressor, as always. So I'm going to set the threshold fairly low, because if you look on the graph here, I kind of want the threshold to set in about 35 decibels. I want it to be poppy, but I don't want it to be too drowned out. I'm going to set the makeup a little bit higher here. So now we're going to put a noise gate on. So for the noise gate, you generally want to set the threshold fairly low or fairly high. I'd probably say about 20 decibels. You won't hear it. So basically what the noise gate does is it has the reverb tail, and then it cuts off the reverb tail at a certain point, giving you this kind of prolonged feeling after you first hit the drums. It can be awesome if you do it well. So now that we got the drums figured out, I'm kind of just trying to set up a general palette of what instruments I'm going to use. So I'm gonna go from the drums. Now I'm going to work on different synthesizers. I'm going to start off with the Sawtooth Wave here. So it has like a very pixely kind of noise. I usually like to give it a little bit more detuning, kind of give it a little bit more character. Like that. We're going to put a filter on it. Yeah, I really like how that sounds. I'm going to put a little bit of an envelope there. I kind of want it to have a little bit of a punch. I don't want it to be too prolonged, so for that I'm going to turn down the release. Alright, I like how that sounds. Let's put on a little bit of phaser. I think adding phasers to synthesizers usually just give it a more rounded sound within the structure of the song. I'm going to set the rate a little bit quicker since the song is a little bit faster. I kind of want the phaser to match that. Actually, never mind. I don't really like that too much. Let's set the mix to 80. So I'm going to first lay down the drum track. Now that we've got two instruments, I know what I want to do. Alright, so I might change that up later on, but for now I'm actually just going to loop it so I can have an idea of what I'm working with. So now we've got the serum lead. Let's try to see what we can do with that. We got a couple of notes in there I don't want, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Ah! So I'm pretty happy with that, just for now. I did get a note in there. I didn't want, so let's clean that. Let's quantize that only about, let's say, 90% quantized. Typically, I don't like to do full 100% quantization because it can feel unnatural, which when you're working with synths, it doesn't matter as much, but still, it's just personal preference. So in this lead are these chords, I guess I'll rename it. I am hearing a lot of like a rhythmic pattern in the background that I kind of want. So for that, I'm going to bust out a DX7, which is the Arturia model version of the legendary Yamaha synthesizer. I'm feeling like we should add a little bit of an arpeggio in there, like a sequenced arpeggiator, something like that. So I'm thinking eighth notes. So after messing around for a little bit, I found a sound I like. It sounds like this. Very kind of outer spacey. Let's see if we can record this. So it's pretty busy because I'm using the same chord, two hands. It kind of arpeggiates everywhere, so it's kind of overwhelming the Serum synth I've got going on in the background. So I'm gonna add a compressor to it. So next, I'm gonna go in with some bass, Synthwave. So here I have a patch. I've called it DA bass. So now I'm gonna try to record a bass part. Let's give it a listen. So far I really like that. The only thing, it does repeat the chord progression towards the 10th measure. And right there, I kind of want to add one more thing in to kind of give it a little bit more, you know. So now I'm going to go in and use one of my favorite synthesizers ever. It's not the real synthesizer because I cannot afford that, but it is the plug-in version through Arturia. It is the Prophet V3. It is a simulated version of the Prophet 5 synthesizer. Alright, so the preset that I really like here is the Afterpad preset. It has a really long release. That's the only thing I'm going to actually turn down because I do not want it to muddy up the mix. We'll turn up the release a little bit more than that. And I already like the analog delay that it came with. I'm probably going to stick with that, but what I will do is I'm going to bring up the chorus effect in it, just the depth, bring in the wet signal a little bit more, and then bring it to type 2. And because I'm feeling like there's a lot of mids coming out there that it could potentially clip, I'm going to actually bring in the EQ and bring down those mids a little bit, just so that we're getting a little bit more of the low end and the high end. I think that's perfect. All right, let's give that a shot. Went a little too far there. I'm just gonna try to re-record that. So I've actually decided I really am not too attached to the section here at measure 14 with the serum chords, so I'm gonna cut that out. I actually really kind of just like the arpeggiating sequence within the Yamaha synth. I'm just gonna let it kind of sit there, and I might actually add a lead in there, do like some kind of synth solo, maybe make it a little bit more interesting. This is not a full-blown song, I'm just doing a little demo. So for the lead in this song, I'm actually going to use the ARP 2605. It's again by Arturia, but it's a modular, it's based off of a modular synth, and I actually will be using the leads because modular synths are insane. I'm going to bring it down a couple of octaves, and then I'm going to go in with an external filter, just the Logic auto filter. I do quite like the Logic stock filters. I think I kind of like that one. Let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to bring that back a little bit. Like I said, I don't want it to kind of overrun everything as solos typically will. I just kind of want it to be a little bit of a something behind the arpeggiated sequence, because I think you can get bored of that pretty quick. So I'm actually going to bring it down a little bit, set the the attack pretty high, or the ratio pretty high. And we're going to actually set the threshold at about 35. That's kind of my sweet spot for compression. So for this, I'm going to create another bus, and we're going to put a little bit of reverb on it. I'm going to set it kind of low. I don't really want it to interfere with the synthesizer too much, because once again it can crowd the recording. So I kind of want a little bit more percussion. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually add in some of the toms for the TR-909, and I'm gonna put some like dotted eighth note delays on them, so they kind of have this spatial rhythmic feeling to them. So now we've got the tom, just the Roland TR-909 tom, and I'm gonna go in, and looks like they've already set some buses for us, but I'm gonna scratch those. We're going to go with bus 5, which is the same bus I put on the melody or the solo. And then I'm going to go in with a delay, the echo delay. We're going to bring the color up so that I can get a little bit more treble out of the tom. I'm going to play that wherever in the song, and I think it will add a little bit more. I'm going to bring up the volume a little bit more too. just that a listen. I was really digging it during the middle of the song here. And you can see how that just kind of adds a little bit more rhythm to the song. You can kind of feel a little bit more drive. Yeah. So I'm going to put in a little bit more of the Prophet towards the ending and do some final touches, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys.